Losing your job is gutting. The panic, the free fall, the uncertainty, it's relentless. I get it. There is a way to take back some control, and we're going to talk through exactly what that looks like. Maybe the layoff happened today. Maybe it happened months ago. Maybe you're a federal employee, or maybe you're in the public sector. Maybe you've just been on this hamster wheel for so long that rejection emails are starting to feel like your love language. But hear me now. This isn't just about surviving anymore. It's about rising out of it. You're showing up. You're already on your way. And as painful as this journey is, it's also your opportunity to rewrite everything. So buckle up. You might not know where the road goes yet, but you're sure as hell not driving in reverse. Here's something you need to hear. You're not crazy. You're not lazy. And no, this was not your fault. People love to think that getting a new job is just a matter of trying harder. Send more applications, stay positive, right? Align your chakras with the hiring gods, sacrifice a goat under a full moon, whatever it takes. Meanwhile, people actually looking for work, we know the truth. The market is brutal. The job hunt is soul-sucking. And if you've been struggling, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because the entire system is broken. So if you're here wondering what the hell to do next, you're in the right place. Let's talk about it, because I get it. When you're in the thick of this, it can feel absolutely impossible to get through it all. So watch the video, take what you need, and come back later if you have to. Surviving a layoff is about how you position yourself next. And there's one survival move that most people don't even think about, but it could completely change how hiring managers see you. We'll get to that in just a little bit. If you haven't watched the first video on preparing for layoff, please go do that now. It covers everything that you should have in place before this moment, because if you haven't handled those things yet, those need to be your priority before anything else. But assuming that you're past that, let's talk about what happens next, because this could last a week or it could last years. There are no rules, no set timelines, no magic formula for bouncing back. Some people land on their feet real fast. Others, like me, end up in this really weird, endless limbo where months pass and suddenly you're questioning every life choice that led you here. And then there's the hardest part, the loss of identity. The person that you thought you were feels like a stranger now. This isn't just about a paycheck. It's about rebuilding who you are when everything that defines you is gone. Wherever you're at in this process, if you haven't done these things yet, do them now. Okay? First up, unemployment. File for it. Even if you think you won't need it, even if you're convinced that you'll have a job next week, delays are brutal and there's no prize for waiting. If you don't need it, great. But if you do, at least you're not 3 months behind drowning while the system takes its sweet time processing your claim. Pride doesn't pay your bills. File the unemployment. Did you know that you can negotiate some of your bills? Call every company that bills you to see what they can do. Credit cards, internet, utilities. Some companies will lower your rates or put you on a hardship program if you just ask. The worst they can say is no, and the best case scenario, well, you suddenly have a little bit more breathing room every month. Some internet providers have low income discounts, but you have to ask, right? Comcast, AT&T, and a few others offer steeply discounted plans for people receiving unemployment benefits. Now, they don't exactly put that on a billboard, so you're going to have to call and check to see if you qualify. And here's a little game changer for your resume. Set up an LLC. It sounds complicated, but it's totally not. I have one. You can file one online in most states in about 10 minutes. It's usually around $50 depending upon where you live. And suddenly, you're not just unemployed, you're a consultant. Call it whatever you want, your name consulting or your industry solutions. The point is you now have an active job on your resume. Hiring managers see gaps and assume the worst. An LLC flips that script. And when someone asks you what you've been doing, oh, thank you for asking. I've been consulting while looking for that right next step. Is it a lie? No, because the truth is unemployed people are always consulting for free. If you've been helping friends with resumes, giving job search advice, or even just staying updated in your industry, you're a consultant. Now you're strategically pivoting. You might as well own it and use it to your advantage. Next up, protect your credit. If you haven't already, freeze your credit reports with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. It's free and it stops impulse decisions that could wreck your future self. If you have credit cards, find out your statement closing dates. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just pay the minimum and hope for the best. But timing matters. If you can pay even a small amount before the statement closes, you'll reduce the amount of interest that gets tacked onto your balance. If you have a car loan, keeping that payment alive needs to be top priority. A lot of people will default on their car before their credit cards, which is a big mistake. If you lose your car, you lose way more than just transportation. You lose job opportunities, side gig options, and negotiating power. So if you're falling behind, call your lender before you miss a payment. Some lenders will offer loan extensions or deferments, but only if you ask before you default on your loan. If that's not an option, see if you can refinance with the credit union or get on a hardship program. And if things really get bad, consider selling your car outright and switching to a cheaper one with the cash that you get from selling it. Because let's be real, without a job, getting approved for a new loan is nearly impossible. But if you can sell what you have and downsize to something affordable, that's better than waking up to find your car repossessed. So, what happens when job hunting goes from feeling like a challenge to feeling completely pointless? There is a moment in long-term unemployment where everything kind of shifts, right? And if you're not ready for it, you're going to get trapped. Here's the thing no one tells you when you first get laid off. Everyone is going to rush in with advice, right? Have you been there? They're going to give you support, right? But once you've been out of work for about 6 months or longer, the advice stops. The check-in stops. People assume that you must be fine by now. Meanwhile, you're still here wondering if you're ever going to get out of this. At first, you hit the job hunt hard. Maybe you even overdo it, but eventually reality sets in. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And marathons are exhausting when you're out of shape and didn't even sign up for the race in the first place. Unemployment does something weird to your brain. It makes you feel like if you're not applying for jobs for 12 hours a day, you're failing. And that's a one-way ticket to burnout. There's a limit on how much job hunting is actually productive. And once you've hit that limit for the day, stop. Over-applying doesn't help, and spending 12 hours tweaking your resume for a job that won't even acknowledge your existence definitely doesn't help. Instead, work in waves. Apply for jobs in focused sprints, then step away. Treat job hunting like a job and give yourself office hours. If you're doing it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you're just setting yourself up for burnout, and you will feel useless when the rejection emails roll in. Because I'm really sorry, but they will roll in. Now let's talk about this rejection, because there will be days that it's going to hit harder than usual. You're going to get the "we went with another candidate" email, and instead of just rolling your eyes and moving on, it will absolutely wreck you. Rejection after rejection wears you down. So expect it, plan for it, and know that it's going to happen and that how you feel about it is normal. After months of this, days start losing shape. You're applying for jobs you don't want just to feel productive. You've rewritten your resume so many times you don't even recognize your own career anymore. And worst of all, you start feeling like the problem is you. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. If you've been in this for months, you know exactly what I mean. At what point did the job search start really messing with your head? When did it go from "I just need a new job" to "do I even have skills anymore"? Because that shift is brutal. Tell me if you felt it. I know I can't be the only one. Now, it doesn't help that half the jobs that you're applying for don't even exist. Companies post roles just to keep the pipeline open or make it look like they're growing, stable, or profitable. And the ones that are real, your resume has to get through an algorithm before a human ever sees it. If you're not optimizing for that, you're basically invisible. Now, if the LLC idea isn't your cup of tea, cool. But that still doesn't mean that you have to leave a massive gap on your resume. If you've been out of work 6 months or more, hiring managers aren't going to look at that gap and think, "Wow, they must be extra refreshed and ready to work." No. They're going to assume something's wrong with you. So, play the game. Make your experience make sense. Give it structure. Instead, make up a job title that reflects what you've actually been doing. Maybe you've been organizing projects. Well, that makes you an independent project manager. Maybe you've been running a side hustle or building a personal brand. Well, that's marketing and outreach consultant. If you've been researching trends and keeping up with your field, well, then you're an industry research analyst. These aren't lies. It's reframing your experience. Hiring managers scan for keywords. Give them something to scan. All right, here's a little bonus from me to you. These are 4 quick resume fixes, okay? First of all, drop your graduation year if you haven't done so already. I am absolutely shocked at the amount of people that still keep their years of graduation on their resumes. Bah! Ageism is real, people. Don't give them any fodder. Secondly, update your email. If you're still using AOL or Hotmail, you are screaming, "Hello, I'm outdated." Third, customize your job titles based upon the role that you're applying for. If you were a senior systems analyst and the job is looking for a lead, change it to lead systems analyst or technical lead. Now, the last one is probably the most helpful. Put your resume and the job description that you're applying for into AI and let it help you customize each job description on your resume to highlight the skills that the job description is actually looking for. This way, your resume is tailored for each position, making you stand out exactly the way employers want you to. But let's be honest, no matter how good your resume is, your best shot is going to be an internal referral. You will probably get your next job because of who you know. Hiring is a rigged game, and connections get your foot in the door way faster than a perfect cover letter ever will. If you're hitting the point where you need just any job to keep the lights on, be smart about it. First, avoid jobs that are going to kill your availability for actual opportunities. A full-time retail or warehouse job might feel like a safety net, but if it completely blocks you from interviews, it's a trap. Look for jobs with flexible schedules, temp work, part-time gigs, remote customer service, anything that lets you keep one foot in the job market. Second, if you take a survival job, frame it on your resume just like we did earlier, okay? Are you a cashier at Target? Well, that's a customer experience strategist. Are you an Uber driver like me? Independent logistics and transportation specialist. If job titles are just LinkedIn fan fiction, you might as well write a good one. It's just marketing, and if it gets you past the hiring software, it's worth doing. And finally, let's talk about the weird small things that might be able to help you out. Now, this next one's a little bit unconventional, but hear me out, okay? Clinical trials and paid studies. Universities and research centers actually pay people to participate in medical studies, sleep research, and product testing. Some of these pay a couple $100, while others pay thousands. You don't have to be sick to qualify. There's a whole market for healthy volunteers. If you're strapped for cash, check out your local university research department or some of the sites that I've listed in the description. Now, the sites I've listed are not sponsored. I just did some research for a friend, and I thought I would share them with you here. Next up, buy a work outfit. Not a full wardrobe, right? Just one thing that makes you feel good about yourself and professional again. Because when you've been in sweatpants for 6 months, the first time that you dress for an interview is going to feel like an out-of-body experience. And honestly, your clothes might not fit right anymore. Ask me how I know. Change your scenery. When every day feels like this endless cycle of rejection emails and LinkedIn scrolling, your home starts to feel like a prison, right? Even sitting at a coffee shop for an hour can reset your brain. Sometimes it could feel like moving a mountain just to step outside, but really try and force yourself when you can. It does make a difference. Another idea is selling plasma. It pays weekly and requires 0 job applications or skill. Some places even offer first-time donor bonuses. You can make $700 a month just for sitting there. If you start getting down and the bad thoughts are living with you just a little too long, you need to get help, okay? Therapy, online support groups, even just a friend who won't hit you with, "Have you tried LinkedIn?" I'm serious. And if you need to talk to someone who actually gets it, remember, I do have those one-on-ones. Now, I'm not a therapist, but I'm cheaper than therapy. And sometimes you just need a real conversation with someone who's been there. And whoo boy, have I been there. Find one thing to improve each week that's not job related. Just something that makes you feel like you're actually doing something. Fix something small, clean out a junk drawer, do a load of laundry. Find your will to live. If you're still unemployed after 6 months, you're not failing. The system is. Please remember that it's not you, even though it feels like it with every breath that you take. Right now, applicants outnumber jobs by an insane margin, especially with all the federal layoffs. Entire industries are flooded with overqualified candidates competing for scraps. It's not just corporate layoffs anymore. Retail, media, tech, and now the public sector are all getting hit. And with the latest federal job cuts, the pool of job seekers just got even bigger. Tens of thousands of federal jobs have been slashed under the Donald Trump and Elon Musk Department of Government Efficiency, with estimates suggesting that up to 300,000 more federal workers could be on the chopping block. And here's a brutal reality. Many of these people that are being laid off have spent decades in their federal job. They haven't worked in the private sector for years, if ever. Now they're being forced into a job market that's completely different from the one that they left, competing against younger candidates, AI screening systems, and industries that barely recognize their experience. So, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You are not alone. You're surviving, and in this economy, that's a damn achievement. I know that the rejection emails are bad, but for me, there was something that was worse, and I want you to be prepared for it. No one tells you this part, okay? The money stuff, yeah, that's hard. The constant rejection, freaking brutal. I get it. But what really caught me off guard was the way the world treats you for being unemployed. It's like the moment you lose your job, you're suddenly invisible to the rest of the world. People don't see the struggle, the endless applications, the exhaustion. And that's when the unsolicited advice starts pouring in like they have the magical answer that somehow eluded you for months. Let's clear something up. Being laid off is not the same as being fired. People use those words interchangeably, and honestly, it pisses me off. You didn't get fired. You didn't do something wrong. Your job was eliminated through no fault of your own. But somehow people will still look at you like you got caught stealing money from a lemonade stand run by orphans. So get ready for the look. You know the one. You know the one. The awkward pity face that's oh so slightly condescending. Oh, I'm so sorry. Right? With the head tilt, like you just told them that your dog died or something. And honestly, it's not just one look. It's a whole plethora of them. The shock look, like layoffs are not happening every other second right now. Then there's the concern look, like you're about to ask them for money. And the worst one, it's the judgment look. The one that says, you were laid off? What did you do wrong? And with the looks comes the unsolicited advice that I mentioned earlier. Just get a retail job. Yeah, because Target isn't flooded with 10,000 other applicants, Lisa. People love to act like retail and service jobs are some kind of safety net, but those jobs are just as competitive as corporate ones. And they don't want to hire someone who's overqualified and clearly desperate to leave. Have you tried networking? Oh, wow, I never thought of that. Thank you, random Facebook aunt. Maybe you should go back to school. Yeah, because nothing says financial stability like new student debt in your 50s. And let's not forget the classic, have you tried applying online? No, Chad, I've just been sitting here manifesting my next job through sheer force of will. Ugh. People don't get that this isn't a break for you. They think, oh, you have so much time now. Meanwhile, you're in full-blown survival mode. It's not a vacation. It's not an opportunity to find yourself. It's a full-time job that pays nothing and somehow makes you feel even less productive than when you were actually working. And family, they mean well. Just try to remember that. But they will not stop asking if you found a job yet. How's that job search going? Any updates? What are you going to do? Ugh. They love you, but they don't get it. Every time I hear, have you heard back? It feels like another jab in my already bruised confidence. Every conversation becomes a status report, and it's exhausting. And the worst part, they just don't realize they're making it worse. That's why you can't do this alone. Talk to someone, even if it's just a vent about how exhausting this all is. Because this process, it strips you down. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about your worth. And yeah, you might have a handful of friends offering advice, but they can't see how this is messing with your head. You can't really explain the crushing weight of uncertainty to someone who's never lived it. So find someone who gets it, someone who won't offer solutions, just space for you to breathe. Isolation makes everything worse. I know this firsthand. People don't realize that losing your job isn't just losing a paycheck. It's losing structure, stability, right? It's losing the version of your life that you built around that income. It really will mess with your head, so be ready for that as best you can. No one warns you about the loneliness that you're going to feel. You'll miss that daily rhythm, the routine of knowing where your next paycheck is coming from. It's easy to feel lost, forgotten, and less than. But let me tell you this again, for those in the back that didn't hear me the first time, none of this is your fault, and I can't emphasize this enough, but you are not alone. Now, that may not feel comforting right now, but trust me, there are countless people going through the same thing. And if you're watching this, you've already taken a step toward changing your future. The world may seem quiet right now, but your next chapter is still being written. They say that the right job will come, but what if it doesn't? I keep waiting for the job market to bounce back, but it's only getting worse. I'm a year in, and by now I thought I'd have some profound revelation, like one of those TED Talk moments where everything makes sense. Nope, I've just got more rage and a bookmark list of companies that I will haunt if ghosts are real. Because if you've ever been ghosted by a job application, sat through 6 rounds of interviews for a position that pays less than your rent, or read a job posting so ridiculous it felt like satire, oh, you're going to want to see this. I had some things to say, and I said them. I did not hold back, so watch as I break it all down here for you.